Hey,
Hey,
how you doing?
good. So, in what way do you think the government doesn't care about its people?
In any way, they don't care about us at all.
Yeah.
Not one bit. No, 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 not one bit. All they care about is their own power and expanding it and improving it wherever possible. That's all they care about.
Okay. And what made you post that position today?
Just everybody's so hyped up over all this election nonsense, and they all think like, oh, if we get the right guy or if we get the right lady, oh, everything will change. But it never changes because it doesn't matter because the system is not built to change in the favor of the people ever, and it never does.
Okay.
Yeah, and I hate to see people get wrapped up in all this political nonsense and really, really believe that the person that they pick is the right person for the job. When I know that there's no right person for the job because the job is broken. It doesn't matter who you put in there; they're not going to work for us. They work for themselves. So
So I didn't really have an understanding for what your position was. That's why I had to ask. So I agree to an extent that I do think that government has gotten too big, that they've lost touch um, with the constituents, that as soon as you vote for somebody and they get into office, that they pretty much are then doing everything that they can to maintain their seat in office, and they're not necessarily positioning themselves to remember who got them into the office to begin with. They're basically just doing everything that they can to make sure that they stay in office or whatever. um, I think that pretty much means that democracy doesn't mean anything anymore, that your
no,
vote
that
doesn't.
that's a big issue with people though, because what a lot of people don't realize is we don't have a real democracy here. This isn't democracy. What we have is a representative democratic republic. We don't have democracy. Democracy is what happens when everyone votes on each individual issue, and whoever wins the vote, that's what we do. What we have is we all vote for people to represent us, and then those people make the decisions regardless of whether they really follow what the people that they represent think or not.
Yeah.
So we don't have a real democracy. That's just a word they like to throw around and give you the illusion of choice. Um, but it's not democracy. It's a representative democratic republic, which is really not much of anything. So
Yeah. So Cuckoo Genie just said democracy is stupid. 51% can screw over the other 49%, um, which unfortunately happens
but
a
that,
lot of times.
but even so, that's not true either. Because again, if you 51% don't live in the right districts, the districts with the more people overrule the 51%. It's total nonsense. It's just a totally flawed, ridiculous system that doesn't make any sense. But here in America, people like to go, "Oh, well, we're free and we get to choose and we vote and all of this," but it's not really true. None of it's really true.
Yeah.
It's just something people like to say and they like to believe because if you know the real truth, it's a little more scary, and people don't like to be scared.
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen a few of your battles before, so I know that you have different theories on different things. So I'm not going to ask you what the real truth is, but what do you envision as the right way that the government should care about people?
Well, here's what I would say. I would say I don't really think people need to be governed. I think we're not, you know, we're not animals. We are animals, but we're not children. We don't need to be told what to do. I think we can govern ourselves in a simple way that, you know, we always used to do throughout history. And it's just do what you would like, you know, but be careful of the consequences. And everybody takes care of their own. And it's a simple
But
thing.
so
If
who
you
determines what the consequences are?
whoever gets affected by it, by whatever action needs consequences. It's that simple. If if you have an area that you call your own and you want to keep it your own, it's yours to govern for yourself. You don't need all this other nonsense coming, everybody sticking their fingers in the pie. We don't need everybody all under one rule. What's right for you might not be right for me.
Yeah, no, that's true. But like,
moral compass. I don't think some things are wrong that a lot of other people do think are wrong. Therefore, I don't think I should be thrown in jail or told that I can't do something because the more people think what I'm doing is wrong than think it's right.
that's absolutely true. But if society doesn't have any type of rules or structure in place, then it's absolutely gonna fail, right? Do you remember Lord of the Flies?
Well, yeah, you're right, but I don't think we need to have. Why? Who's to say that we need? Society is a loose term. Society it's a slippery slope too. I don't need to be told, that I have to see. I'm a guy who doesn't believe in a lot of the social constructs that are just automatic today for everybody. I just don't believe in it. I go to work. I do what I have to do because there's no other way to live in this country. This is what you have to do. But if it was up to me, there would be no such thing as work or money or job. It wouldn't exist because it's ridiculous. It's something we just made up. I'm selling my time to be able to get food and a place to live. That is a ridiculous concept, and we could do away with it overnight if everybody just took care of their own business and stopped worrying about what other people are doing. That's the big issue. Everybody wants to control what everybody does. Everybody wants to somehow find a way to control what everybody does. And it's wrong. I just don't believe in it. I think if you want to do something that I would think is crazy, that I would never do, but you want to do it, I think you have every right to do it. You do whatever you want.
As long as it doesn't impeach upon your free will, correct?
If it does, I'll make it known.
Okay.
It'll be that simple. And, that's how real species survival takes place.
Okay, but as human beings, we are relying upon each other at some point. So there's no way that a human being can survive without at some point coming into contact with another human being.
Right.
So rules of engagement would say that I need somehow to figure out a rule of engagement with you. So my free will.
Be any rules. It could just be me and you. When we run into each other, we decide how it's going to work. It's that simple. If you come to me and you're acting like a normal, sane person, and I also am a normal, sane person, I'm sure we'll figure it out pretty easy. There won't be any problems. But if you're not a normal, sane person and I am, I'm going to deal with the threat. If we're both insane, then, nature will take its course. It's what has to be done.
And there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into that because as you look at the whole spectrum of human beings, there's a lot of different human beings and what's normal versus what's not normal and all the different possible types of interaction that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying, that people should have free will to be able to live their lives the way that we should. And that a capitalist society is really what leads to too much control over people and their ability to survive and do what they need to do and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel as though societal breakdowns, you have to have some sort of rules of engagement. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen naturally because that's just how we are going to operate as people, even if there is free will.
What is that? Why do you think that is?
Because I think it's just part of something that happens naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
naturally is the key word. It's human nature to try and
exactly.
grab all the power. It's human nature to try and destabilize everybody else and to make yourself the one who's special. That's what everybody tries to do all the time. But what happens is, instead of having little groups where the consequences aren't major on everyone's life, where maybe one guy is trying to get into power over a little tiny group of other people, we have massive groups of people in control of the whole rest of the world at the same time.
Hmm.
And it creates major, major problems because nobody agrees on anything. You
All
can't
right.
get any two people to agree on one thing, but they expect to get millions of people to agree on hundreds of different things. It'll never work.
No,
Never happen.
I listen. I agree with you. I don't see a way out, is what I'm saying.
Oh no, you're right. There is no way. It's way too late. It's way too
It's
late.
it,
It's
it's
over.
way late, unless something like Interstellar happens and we find the wormhole and we can
Right.
find a way to what did Matthew McConaughey try to do in Interstellar? Like he tried to sling around the
Yeah,
worm.
to bend space and time and all that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Until you could go back to the beginning and break it all down, it's not going to go that way. But I know that. But if you could get enough, the only chance we have is if you could get enough people thinking similarly, thinking along these lines, that maybe somebody can slip through the cracks. Somebody who thinks like this can slip through the cracks and get themselves into a position of power. And then, if we're beyond extremely lucky, there'll be maybe one really good person who, when they get to that position of power, doesn't use it for their own personal gain. And that's a dream, and it's not a reality. It never happens. But maybe once, just one time, every once in a while, we do have a really true good leader. It's rare. It almost never happens, but occasionally it does happen. Usually what happens is they get killed most of the time. But
And unfortunately, what tends to happen, and especially what's happening now, is you've got somebody who's playing off of fear
mm-hmm.
and using that as a way to propel themselves towards a leadership position. And that's extremely scary as well. And so it's the same thing as what drives people to join a church, what drives people to join a gang, and what drives people to follow somebody or to feel like I need to go where there are like-minded people like me. It's a sense of fear. It's a sense of I need to go protect myself. It's a sense of I need to be around all the people that are like me that know where my struggle is. And that's where you get the religious fanatics. That's where you get the gang members. That's where you get all those groups and clumps of people. And the most dangerous thing that could happen is if one of those people ends up becoming a leader and amasses a huge following.
But that always happens. That's what always happens. Every single president in the past almost 50 years, every president in the past 50 years has been a total puppet with no redeeming qualities. We have not had one good president since Kennedy. Not one.
Yeah.
Not one worth a damn for any regular person walking around the street. So that's a bad ratio. That's one every 50 years, maybe. It's not a good sign. I don't think it works. It doesn't work for us. And that's who it's supposed to be for in the first place, but it doesn't work for us.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a bleak outlook as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, it is. I know it is. And you know what? I wish, you know, it's not that I don't think that there are people with redeeming qualities out there. There's some good people. There's a few. There's enough people who think logically to have discussions with. You're a person who, you at least, maybe whether you agree with me or not, you're logical enough to have a discussion. And that's rare enough these days. You get a lot of people who have no idea what's going on. They just are completely lost. That's what I'm afraid of. We get too many of those type of people walking around, and they group up together, and then
Yeah.
and then we got major issues.
Yeah, the worst thing that can happen is if there's too many lemmings like that
Mm-hmm.
who aren't knowledgeable and educated enough, and then they'll just go off and do their own thing. But yeah, so all right, well, interesting topic. I got to get going, but
All right.
Apparently Kukujini had people can't handle the fact that America is run by international bankers. The FRA in 1913 sold out the country. Bottom line is that you are a cog in their machine, nothing more.
It's true. 100% true. Federal Reserve Bank is not federal.
Nope. It's all private. So, all right. Well, nice battling with you.
Good talking to you. Have a good one.
Bye.